Okay, we're now going to set up the VPX file. So go open VPX, file, new, completely blank table. Make sure everything on the right in layers is all ticked so it's showing everything. Then drag a box over the whole lot, press delete. Now have a completely blank table. I get rid of the grid because I just don't use it. You'll have one thing left in here, which is the score text, which is hidden away on the back glass view, which is for your DMD for ROM-based tables, or obviously for other tables as well. If it's a ROM-based table, you can click this and turn it into a script DMD, which we'll worry about that later. But ignore it for now. I rename this main layer because it's basically the main layout for the whole table. That's where I normally keep it. So you can go up to table. You'll see sounds clear. There's no sounds. Materials are there. We'll leave them because there's some useful, just normal box standard ones there. Image manager has just got the ball UV map. So what we want to do here in the image manager is import our playfield texture and our playfield blueprint. Click OK. Go up to view, playfield image, then set your playfield image up here. So you've got either the full texture or the blueprint. We are going to use the blueprint. Okay, so one of the most important things to do here is now set the playfield dimensions. Different pinball tables and different companies use different size, essentially bits of wood. So if you go up to the dimensions manager, you'll see in here it shows you how wide they are and how high they are. Now these are normally correct, but there's a few errors in here. So we know Scared Stiff is a WPC standard. Currently, WPC standard is actually slightly wrong. They're not 20.5 inches by 46, they're 20.25. So what we can do is make that 20.25, 46. Now, if you know the exact width, you can use that, as in if you've got it scanned and you've had someone measure it for you, then you can use that figure. In this case, pretty much every single WPC is 20.25 by 46. Any variations is generally down to slight measurement errors or wood worn on the sides or whatever it might be. So when that's correct, you got 952. This is how many VP units wide it is by 2164. Click apply to table. Close. Go to physics under the properties. Double check it's changed, which it hasn't. It does this sometimes. So you have to go back. What it might need to do is it might need to. There you go. It just needed opening and closing. That was weird. But just make sure whatever else happens, that's the case. And they're up. Because otherwise, what you'll end up with is 0 zeros in the top left hand corner and 952, 2164 is the bottom right corner. You'll end up with all the stuff on the right hand side. So if we will put a wall against the edge and you get this wrong and you only realize you've got it wrong quite a way into the project, which I've done, and say it was, I don't know, it was another thing. You realized you've used something else instead. Gottlieb's System 80. Can you copy that across, apply to table, bonk. See now, your wall's here. and every other object that you've placed on the table is now in the wrong place, and you've got to move it over to here. So you don't want to be doing that. So it's very important. The first thing you do when you set the table up is make sure these numbers are right. So let's change that back to what it should have been. 20.25 and 46 by the table. Right. And we're now back in the right place. Okay. The only difference, the only change in this one is if you have a playfield that's slightly outside of the bounds of the wood. So what I mean by that is, if we have a look, and we'll do this in, so we'll choose Iron Man. So you have the Iron Man playfield, as you can see here. So if we opened the Iron Man playfield, and then we said, right, okay, we were going to do what we did before and put the blueprint on it. We're going to do this quick and dirty so it doesn't take all year. Start to go, oh, hang on a minute, what's that at the top? We'll line this up. The ramps go out the back of the machine. So at this point, you're like, oh, that's not good, because basically VPX uses the edge of the table as a boundary, so balls cannot go past it. So if you put ramps out the back, like it was be in Iron Man, they'd hit the back of the table and they wouldn't go any further and go around. So now we've done this. If you go into, I mean, this is using GIMP, but I imagine Photoshop's almost definitely got something like this. So if you go into image, canvas size, and you can set normally you can set this by different things, so inches. So this is 20.25 by 45 high. So what we want to do is we actually want to make that, I don't know, 47 inches high. Let's add 2 inches to it. Drag it down so it appears at the top. That's not enough because we need a little bit more. Canvas size, let's make that, I reckon we need another half an inch. Size. Oh, I didn't drag it down to the bottom, that's my fault. You don't want to fit canvas size layers. Inches, 47.5. Down to the bottom, resize. Okay, so there we've got the ramps coming out the back with enough clearance. So what we've done there, this is now 20.25 by 47.5. So if we save this, or as Iron Playfield test new, doing this quick and dirty, just so you can get the idea. Image manager, we'll import this playfield that we've just done. Set it to this. Now, if you remember, because we changed the size of that playfield, so now if we go into Dimensions Manager, we want to set that for exactly what this is, 47.500. By the table, close. So now what we have is a correct, and if you hit the grid, you'll see the grid shows you the size of the entire table, and you can now make ramps coming out the back that will actually work. and got the right dimensions. Yeah, it's changed the right dimensions, and it's kept the right dimensions. Another thing you can do just to double check this, if you're not entirely confident, is if you want to check to make sure that the playfield is actually perfectly round, is you can choose I use a trigger, check it to a star, and then we'll actually use scared stiff. Give it a nice. Right, let's find a circle. You have to be a little bit careful. If you use playfield holes, it's better. You shouldn't use lights, because as you can see, the lights are off center and you can't see the entire circle, and I wouldn't trust the artwork. But if you can find a decent playfield hole, like so, and you stick this over the top of it, then you can change the radius. So as you can see here, because we didn't change it back again, you can see the edges touch the wood, but the top and the bottom don't touch the wood. That's because we changed it to add that extra bit onto Iron Man. So now what we've got to do is we've got to go back to Dimension Manager, 20.25, change this back to 46, light table, go back here, you see it's moved it up, and you can see now we have a perfect circle. So it's always worth double checking this. Otherwise, every other stage after this, you'd have to go through and change everything to make the playfield realign. I've been there, felt the pain, trying to save you from it, because it's miserable if you've got to change 4,000 control points to fix everything, or even completely re-render the entire table. So that is your playfield set up at exactly the right size and dimension.